Alright, Math 1, Unit 9 practice test. The diameter of circle Z is 10. What is the area in terms of pi? Alright, so remember area equals pi times radius squared. So area equals pi times 5 squared, which means our area is 25 pi. Alright, number 3. Find the area of the following shapes, write the formula, and then find the area. So this is a triangle, so the area equals 1/2 base 1, or excuse me, base times height. That's an H. So area equals, well, we don't have the base, do we? Alright, well, we know the height is 12, okay? So if we use Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So a squared plus 12 squared equals 13 squared. Or a squared plus 144 equals 169. We subtract 144 from both sides, we get a squared equals 25, which means a equals 5 when we take the square root of both sides. And that's another common Pythagorean triple that you might want to memorize. It's 5, 12, 13. Remember, we have a 3, 4, 5, and we have the 5, 12, 13, and the other one we had was 8, 15, 17. Actually, this one should be down there, but that's the first three, and that's probably the ones we use the most. But these Pythagorean triples are worth memorizing. Okay, so it is... So this side is 5, so that means the whole length is 10. Be careful there. Alright, so the area equals half of 10 is 5, and 5 times 12 is 60 centimeters squared. Moving on. You have to be able to identify these two-dimensional figures so you know what formula to use. This is a kite, so we know the area equals 1/2 diagonal 1 times diagonal 2, which means area equals 1/2 8, 4 plus 4, times 5.5 plus 8.5, which is 5 plus 8 is 13, 14. So area equals 1/2 of 8 is 4, and 4 times 14 is 56. And that is meters squared. Number 7. Okay, this is a trapezoid, and if this is 10, this side is 10 right here. So again, the only thing we don't have is the height. We have area equals 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times the height. Area equals 1/2 base 1 is 10 plus base 2, which is 15, times the height, and that's what we don't have. But we know that this is a right triangle with sides leg of 5 and a hypotenuse of 13. And if we go back, what do we know the height is from our Pythagorean triple? It's 12. I tell you, we're not very creative. So we get area equals 1/2 times 25 times 12. Okay, well, 1/2 times 12 is 6, and 6 times 25 is 150. And that is centimeters squared. Okay, I'm leaving the evens for you. Moving on, number 9. A classmate calculated the area of the parallelogram as 80 feet squared. Explain your classmate's error. What is the correct area? Alright, so let's see what our classmate obviously multiplied these two together. And remember, area is always the base times the height in a parallelogram. Okay, so the error is they used the wrong dimensions, and the correct area is area equals base times height, which means area equals 15 times 8. Okay, area equals 8 times 10 is 80, and 8 times 5 is 40, so this is 120 feet squared. Okay, moving on. All right, I know these are long. I'm going to do one. You need to do one. It takes a long time to do all the distance formulas. Take your time. It is an important concept that you will need for Math 2 as well. So A is at 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Take your time. B is at 2, 5, 2, negative 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And C is at negative 3, 1, 2, 3, negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's A, B, and C. And I can see that this is a right triangle. I'm going to tell you, I did the easy one. Sorry about that. This is a right triangle. So what's the length of AB? Well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Or we could simply go, where am I? 2, 7. Okay, we're doing the difference in the y values, so it would be 7 minus negative 5, which is 12. 7 minus negative 5 is 12. Okay, BC we can actually count too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But remember, we're talking about the difference in the x values, and 2 minus negative 5 is 5. I'm sorry, 2 minus negative 3 is 5. The one we're going to have to do some work on is AC, and remember it is simply the square root of AC, so 2 minus negative 3 squared plus 7 minus negative 5 squared. Plugging that into our calculator, the square root of 2 minus negative 3 squared plus 7 minus negative 5 squared equals 13. 5, 12, 13. We really didn't even need to do this. If I thought this is a right triangle with two sides of two legs of 5, 12, the hypotenuse has got to be 13. So the perimeter is 30, right? 12 plus 13 is 25, plus 5 is 30. And the area is 1/2 the base times the height. Which means it is 30 as well. This is units, and this is units squared. All right, I'll leave number 12 for you guys to do. Look at that, number 13. I'm still going to have to do some work. Okay, what is the most precise classification of the quadrilateral with the given vertices? Let's see, we got one at 1, 3. We've got one at 2, 4, 0. We've got one at 1, negative 3, 2, 3. And we've got one at negative 2, 0. All right, so this guy looks like he's either a square or a rhombus, okay? The difference between a square and a rhombus is that a square has 4 right angles. So let's just call this, for sake, it doesn't really matter, they don't give us letters here. So A, B, C, D. All right, so let's find the slope of AB and BC and CD and DA. Okay, the slopes first, and we're just going to count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's 1. BC is down 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's negative 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's positive 1. And DA is down 3 over 3, negative 1. Okay, so we know we have a parallelogram with 4 right angles, so it's got to be at least a square or a rectangle. Now, the length of each of these sides. All right, so if we rise 3, run 3, we know we have right here, we have a right triangle with legs of 3 and 3, the same right triangle here and the same right triangle here. So we obviously know that 3 squared plus 3 squared is 9 plus 9 or 18, so this is the square root of 18. 3 squared plus 3 squared is 18, so this hypotenuse has to be the square root of 18, along with the other two. So we know the square root of 18 is 3 root 2. So all three lengths are 3 root 2. So this is in fact a square. Very similar, I think the same square that we found on the previous page. All right, number 15. All right, prove that the shape is a rectangle by using the distance formula and the slope formula. All right, so let's name these just like we did before, A, B, C, and D. Let's find the slope of the sides. Okay, I guess we'll do that down here, AB, BC, CD, and DA. All right. AB is rise 2, run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you rise 2, run 6, it reduces to 1/3. BC is down 1, 2, 3, run 1, so it is -3. CD is rise 2, run 6, so it's positive 1/3. And down 3, run 1 is -3. So these two guys are congruent, and these two guys are congruent. I shouldn't say congruent, they are the same. So it means that AB and BC are parallel, and BC and AD are parallel. So we have at least a parallelogram. We also know that AB is perpendicular to BC because they are opposite reciprocals. Remember, slopes that are opposite reciprocals are perpendicular. So we have 4 right angles as well. Okay, so we know it's a rectangle. We really don't need to find the length of the opposite sides, because if we have 2 parallel sides, 2 sets of parallel sides, it's at least a parallelogram. And a parallelogram with 4 right angles is, in fact, a rectangle. But I'm going to plug a couple of them in for you. I'm going to plug in AB, and I'm going to plug in BC. So AB equals, let's see, the x values. Where are those guys? Well, -1, 2, 3, 4, minus 2 squared plus 2 minus 1, 2, 3, 4 squared, and BC is the square root of 2 minus 1 plus, what do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 minus 1 squared. And, all right, let's see. This is -6 squared, which is 36. And 36 plus -2 squared is 4. So this is the square root of 40, which is 2 root 10. And this guy, BC, wait a minute, let's see here, 36, that's 40. 2 root 10, does that sound right? Okay, and this guy is going to be 2 minus 1 is 1, 1 squared is 1, and 4 minus 1 is 3, and 3 squared is 9, so we end up with the square root of 10. Okay, so this guy is 2 root 10, and this guy is the square root of 10. I know this guy is the square root of 2 root 10 and square root of 10, because if these two sides are parallel and these two sides are parallel, then the opposite sides have to be congruent. Okay, good luck.